Hello, party people. So this will be Terra Nova Tuesday for August the 11th. I do apologize for my appearance. I'm just out of my second shower of the day because it is freaking humid here, and it's damn near impossible to get dry. So, today we are going to do a profile of a patriot, a Newfoundland patriot. A guy with a potentially questionable mustache. Couldn't find any images of him around that age without that mustache, so it is what it is. It was a fashion choice at the time, and it is what it is. So, first things first, I want to say thank you to my 266 followers, as I always do. And if you would like to support what I do, which is, varied, to say the least, if you look through my channels, both ArdentPardy on Rumble and over on YouTube, you can find a variety of things I've done or am doing that runs the gamut from live reading literary works to giving my opinion on political issues and social issues, to extremely nerdy takes on things like movies or TV shows or even simple clips that have been created by people. If you want to support me financially, the best way to do that is to head over to the Ko-Fi, fling me a few bucks. If you do that on a monthly basis, I'll put your name in the ticker with Zenrab7 and Simon JJ. There is a secondary option there, of course. If you would like to support me anonymously, as one person does, you can let me know, and I will consider you part of the Meringatang Gang. Currently, there is only one member of the Meringatang Gang, but who knows? Maybe I'll get lucky and there will be more. It would be nice if there was, a billionaire who wanted to sponsor me. Probably won't happen. In any case, other than that, you can find me on Substack, X, and YouTube, as well as Rumble, which is where you're probably watching this. It's where I'm recording it for, anyway. Let me see, anything else? Sorry, that's my thinking face. I know. Don't believe so. So, with no further ado, we'll get into this. And start with the image of Mr. Crosby. For those of you who are familiar with Newfoundland politics, the name Crosby is not uncommon. You will know potentially John Crosby, our former lieutenant governor, and once one of the most stalwart supporters of Newfoundland in federal politics here in Canada. You may very well know this man's grandson, Ches Crosby. I believe he's considered Ches Crosby III, but I'm not 100% sure about that. And he's known for being influential in Newfoundland politics, and now is, I believe, out of the public eye and is conducting business. So, just to give a bit of a background so you understand, Mr. Crosby here was one of the driving forces behind he was one of the movers and shakers, for lack of a better term, during the pre-Confederation era. He was involved in political life early on, also business. But for the purposes of this, we're talking about his patriotism to the country of Newfoundland. Said country, of course, ceasing to exist on March 31st, 1949. More or less. Legally speaking, anyway. Let me see, what else? He was the founder of the Economic Union Party, which sought, if I recall correctly, and as we go through, I'll be corrected or not corrected. But as I recall, he was the founding member, possibly the founder, of the Economic Union Party, which, if I recall correctly, and I'll keep saying that because I'm not 100% sure I do, he would have been the chief opposition to Joey Smallwood's Confederation Party. Commie bastard. Sorry. Some opinions I can't subdue. But I believe the Economic Union Party was focused on economic union with the United States. Remember, of course, that we had just come out of a Second World War where the U.S. had been among our most stalwart allies as the other North American country. Yeah. In any case, moving along. So over on People Pill, we find some information for him. Never used this this particular page before, so I don't know exactly what I'm going to be finding here. But they have him listed as a male Canadian politician, which is wrong. He was a Newfoundland politician. But, yeah. So, Chess was born November 4th, 1905, and died December 26th, 1962. And he was a Newfoundland businessman and politician. He belonged to a continuing prominent St. John's family involved in hotels, fish export, insurance, shipping, and manufacturing. The son of Michie Ann, nee Manuel, and Sir John Chalker Crosby, the founder of Crosby and Company Limited. If I recall correctly, that company still exists. His father also served in the country's government as Minister of Shipping in 1917, as acting Prime Minister in 1918, former Prime Minister of Newfoundland, and was Minister of Finance and Customs from 1924 until his retirement in 1928. Excuse me. After his father's death in 1932, Crosby took over the family business and attempted to expand it further by investing in whaling, amongst other endeavors. Crosby was a delegate to the Newfoundland National Convention and favored responsible government, independence. On March 20th, 1948, he split with the Responsible Government League, which was then the main opposition party to Joey Smallwood, and formed the Party for Economic Union with the United States, so I was right about that much, that promoted free trade with the U.S. instead of confederation with Canada. He and many younger convention delegates feared that the RGL was disorganized and bound to lose the referendum campaign unless a new party was formed. The divided anti-confederation forces were defeated by Smallwood's Confederate Association in the 1948 Newfoundland referendums. Crosby subsequently served as a member of the 7-person delegation sent to Ottawa to negotiate the final terms of union with Canada. However, dissatisfied with the negotiations, he refused to sign the final agreement, good man, citing objections to its financial terms, and then retired from public life. And we talked about his son, John Crosby, who served under Brian Mulroney as, I think, a variety of ministerial positions. And he was Lieutenant Governor of Newfoundland and Labrador from 2008 to 2013. That's Chess's son, John. Chess's father, John. I love Newfoundland names. They're so much fun. Okay, we'll have a quick glance at the Wikipedia. And Crosby belonged to a prominent St. John's family. This is all basically the same thing. Delegate 48 referendums. His father. Okay, so really nothing new added here other than he was educated at St. Andrew's College, and his relatives were Vera Perlin, who has a society named after her these days. What is that? The Vera Perlin Society. No, I don't wish to give you any money, Wikipedia. Let's see. Work. The Vera Perlin Society is a community living organization. Ah, okay. So that is intended to help people get supports that they need. I believe it's from what used to be called a mentally retarded position. Now it might be developmentally delayed, autistic, neurodivergent. There are any number of different terms now. So this is his Heritage Newfoundland entry. Born Presbyterian. And yeah, as I said about the images, it's extremely hard to find an image of Mr. Crosby without that distinctive mustache. Anyway, we'll come back here. So this is from Joey Smallwood's book, The Story of Confederation, the Book of Newfoundland, Volume 3. Or sorry, it wasn't Joseph Smallwood who wrote that. It's an article related to Smallwood. Crosby attended Bishopfield College in St. John's, which I believe no longer exists or has been folded into Memorial University, and an exclusive private school in Ontario. Must be nice to come from money. His family had forged a business empire, starting in the hotel business and expanding into fish export, insurance, shipowning, and manufacturing. His father, Sir John Chalker Crosby, had also served as an elected member of the government. After his father's death in 1932, young Crosby took over the leadership of the company and ran the family's diverse business enterprises. One of the new kind of entrepreneurs, Crosby took on new and extremely risky business challenges, some of which failed. That is the nature of business. Other members of the St. John's business elite concentrated on the export of fish and the retail of goods manufactured outside Newfoundland. Crosby invested in whaling, the herring fishery, and other non-traditional enterprises. I'm not sure that the herring was all that non-traditional, to be honest. Many people admired him for his boldness and his hard work. Despite the financial setbacks of the Depression, he and his family lived a life of wealth and privilege. I think it's unfair to say that they were privileged, given how hard the family had worked to get their position. Crosby was a delegate to the National Convention, favored the return of responsible government. After the convention ended, a group of young men who favored responsible government but feared that the RGL, the Responsible Government League, was losing the campaign, decided to form their own group. The EUP, the Economic Union Party, proposed a free trade agreement with the U.S. as an alternative to Confederation. They recruited Crosby as leader. He believed that if Newfoundland could export its resources to the U.S., the economy would be strong enough for responsible government to succeed. At the time, yeah, we were the transatlantic hub for flights. We still are in some cases. If you haven't heard the story, which is most often referred to as Come From Away, which is a play on Broadway, what did they call... There was a book also about the incident called The Day the World Came to Gander, if I recall correctly. And this is talking about how in the wake of 9/11, a lot of planes had to be diverted out of U.S. airspace. Gander was the nearest international airport if you were crossing the Atlantic. I believe 3,000, somewhere in that range of people were deposited in Gander. They recruited Crosby as leader of the Economic Union Party. I guess I was wrong about who founded it. He believed that if Newfoundland could export its resources to the U.S., the economy was strong enough for responsible government to succeed. After Confederation won the referendum, Crosby served on the delegation from Newfoundland that negotiated terms of union. He, however, did not sign these terms because he felt that the financial clauses would not allow Newfoundland's provincial government to balance its books. In other words, Canada's been fucking us from the get-go. After Confederation, he left political life and concentrated his efforts on business. And as I said earlier, he did pass away in 1962. We have not the best image of his gravestone here, which is in St. John's. And it says, in loving memory of Chesley A. Crosby, born November 4th, 1905, died December 26th, 1962. And unfortunately, the text below is unreadable, though I suspect that may be his wife. And we will end off with his obituary, and yeah, that'll be the end of the video. So, something of a severe individual, if you look at his images. However, I will point out it was still not the most common thing for people to smile in photographs at the time. So, Crosby, Chesley Arthur, merchant, President Crosby & Co. Limited, St. John's, born St. John's November 4th, 1905. Son of Sir John C. and Lady Crosby, educated Bishopfield College, St. John's, St. Andrew's College, Aurora, Ontario, married Jessie Elizabeth Carnell. Children included Joan, John, and Andrew, which rare for the time because my grandparents on both sides of my family had more than 5 children each. At 18, he entered his father's business, rose to presidency, active in the Newfoundland Canada Confederation movement, was one of 7-man delegations sent by the 1946 convention to interview the British government. He founded a party pledged to consummate Newfoundland United States Economic Union. Now, I'll point out, there is discrepancy in one article to another. Given the age of this article, this obituary, I'm going to assume this is the more factually accurate one. One of the things you will find with Newfoundland, unfortunately, a lot of our history tends to be remembrances. It tends to be based on what people remember. And unfortunately, it is what it is. But hopefully that will slowly be changed as time goes on. Personally, I prefer factuality over something that sounds good. Let me see here. He declined to sign the agreement on grounds of inadequate provision for provincial financing. Yeah, this would have been in the days before the transfer system was instituted, before healthcare. Besides president of his own company, he was president of 5 other companies and director of 8 more. He was a member of the following clubs: the Bally, which is now known as the Ballyhaley Golf and Country Club, Murray's Pond, which I'm not sure, the City Club, the Laurier Club, the Officers Club, the United Church of Canada, which is interesting. He was, I assume, born and raised Presbyterian, but ended up in the United Church. He was a liberal. Now, there's where we come into a problem. He was definitely not a modern Canadian liberal. His hobby is listed as shooting. Yeah, that's right. Newfoundlanders used to be shooters. In fact, if you get a chance, look up John Crosby's appearance on, I believe it was either the Mercer Report or This Hour Has 22 Minutes, and enjoy yourself. Let me see, and his residence is listed as 18 Rennie's Mill Road in St. John's. So, yeah, that is one of the titans of Newfoundland political life, and definitely a patriot. So, I hope you've enjoyed this. I will return to the cover here to sign out. Again, if you'd like to support me, we've discussed the methods by which you can do so, and you can also just check the description and the pinned comment. Also, there's that handy ticker floating by. I will point out, if you choose to support me by donating on Rumble or subscribing on Rumble, Rumble takes a very high cut, so I would prefer, if you can, that you use the Ko-Fi, but yeah, if you choose not to, I understand. Either way, whether it's Ko-Fi or a Rumble rant, I will be reading your messages if you choose to leave one. Other than that, folks, I hope you have a good day. I hope you continue to have good days. And as always, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. Bye-bye.